Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back here with another video, and today I decided to bring this video that was requested by a lot of you guys, where I'm going to be showing how to upload files and images into Firebase and also using React for our front end. So it's a pretty simple process, and all of the code for this will be in the description. It is really nice and really interesting. I wanted to give like a little demo of what we're going to be building. It's not super complicated. It's mostly focused on functionality, but basically you can see I have a bucket which stores images and files. And at least for this example, I'm just showing images, but you can do the same thing with files. It's the same process. But for images, you can see I'm currently displaying on the screen all the images currently in the bucket. And I can upload an image to the bucket by clicking on choose file. And as you can see, I just chose a picture. The name appears over here. Then I can click on upload and it should automatically display the picture. Apparently I chose a picture which is another version of a thumbnail that I made for another video, but you can see it appears over here. And if I refresh this page, it's stored in the bucket, so every single image will be downloaded, including the one I just uploaded. So this is basically what we're going to be building. It's very simple functionality, and if you're interested in just seeing the code, you can just go in the description. And if you want to support the channel, just leave a like in this video because it will honestly help a lot. It will help push my videos to more people, and I would be very grateful if you could do that. So with that in mind, let's get into the video. Okay guys, so as you can see over here, I opened my project inside of a folder and it's completely empty. It is inside of VS Code, and this is what I'm going to be using to create our project. So to start out our project, we need to first install a React application. So we're going to be using the create React app command. I'm going to say yarn create React app like this, but if you're using npm, you can just write npx create React app. And it should start generating our React application for us. While this is happening, we have over here our Firebase project, which is basically just a website. You go to the console.firebase.google.com. I'll try to add this to the description so you can just click on it. And we're going to add a new project over here. Let's call it uploading file, like this, or whatever you want to name it. And we're going to generate a new project inside of the Firebase platform. So I'm gonna unclick on this so that we don't have analytics, because it doesn't really matter, at least for me, but you can leave it open if you want to. And then I'm gonna click on create project. So this should start generating the project for us, which is good because we need it for our connection between our React application and our Firebase. So you can see it says that your new project is ready, which is amazing. And the good thing about Firebase is that actually it provides you with a lot of different services. So you can have an authentication service, a database service, a real-time database service, a storage service. Like, so much stuff can happen with Firebase. In this video, we're going to be using the storage service, which is meant to store files, videos, images, all the kind of stuff, together with all of, so like if you're storing data, you'll probably store it in the Firestore database. But if you're storing files and images, you'll store it inside of the storage service. So let's check out our code. You can see that our React application was installed successfully, and we have all of these files over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete a couple of these files. I'm going to delete the logo, the setup tests, the index.css, and the app.test.js. Those are our necessary files for our project. We're not going to be testing anything, and we're not going to be using the logo. So that for that reason, I just deleted to keep it clean. I'm also going to delete all of the stuff inside of here because we're not using all of that. And I need to also delete the index.css in the index.js file. So this should make it work perfectly. Now, there's a couple packages that we do need to install. The first one is I need to install the Firebase package. It's pretty self-explanatory why I need to install this. We're going to be using Firebase for this project, so we need to install their package. But also, later on in the project, you'll see that we're going to be generating random characters in order to provide a name for our files. So we're going to install a package which will allow us to generate those characters in a unique way. And the best library to do that, in my opinion, is the UUID library. Which it's really common, really useful. So I'm just going to install that as well. I'm going to press enter, and it's going to start installing everything, and it should be fine. Like I mentioned, we're going to be using the storage service inside of this video, so you can just click on this over here, and you can click on Get Started. So if you click on storage, you should come to a page and click on Get Started, and you'll see that this over here will be the page that you'll be seeing. So basically how the storage works is you can create folders inside of here and upload either files or images or videos or whatever you want, depending on what you want to store inside of this cloud provider. So what we want to do first is we need to recognize that Firebase by default, it will set the rules to its services to not allow people from outside to add or change or read or write data inside of their service. So for example, I can upload a file into this storage from my computer right now, but I can't upload a file by using some sort of API call. So I can't do it by making a website and connecting to here. And the reason for that is because this rule section over here says that no one is allowed to read or write, because it says false over here. Now, if you have authentication in your project, this is a great place to make it so that only authenticated users can, for example, send images to your storage. But since we won't be having that, I can just set this equal to true and click on publish. And now we will be able to work with the storage inside of our React application. Now, what we need to do is we need to set up the Firebase configuration inside of our project. And to do that, we're going to come over here and we're going to create a new file called Firebase. And this file will include all of the configuration information for our Firebase project. The way we get that information is we go over here and go to project settings, and then we go down, and it should be right over here. This information over here basically tells us to install Firebase and copy and paste all of this information inside of our project. If you've used Firebase before, you know that this basically is a great and easy way to just connect our project with the console, because it already includes all of your own API keys and variables and everything. So it will be establishing the connection correctly. So one thing I need to tell you guys is that since we're using a specific service in Firebase, which is the storage service, we do need to import some stuff from the storage service. So I'll say import from Firebase/storage, like this. And what I want to install is I want to get the get storage function. This function over here basically accepts an application and just tells Firebase that we're going to be using the storage in this application. So we can create a variable called storage and set it equal to get storage, like this. And just pass in over here the app, which is referring to the app that we're creating. Now, the storage variable will allow us to make references to which storage we're talking about, right? Which storage we want to store our files. So we need access to it everywhere in our project. So I'm going to export this constant so that we can access it in different files. Also going to run my project by running yarn start. And when I press enter, you can see that on our local host over here, it should be running our project, but it shouldn't have anything currently in the website. You can see it is a blank page, which we want to change because we need to add both the input and the button that we're going to be using to actually upload the images. So let's do that. Let's create an input on our app file, and the input will be of type file, which will allow us to select files in our computer. We'll save this, and then we're just going to create a button, and this button will say something like upload image. And we want to create a function which, when we click on the button, it will call this function and we'll actually upload the image to Firebase. So I'll say upload image like this, and we'll just pass it as the on click to the button. So I'll say on click upload image. Now, how are we going to make this work? Well, first of all, we need access to which file the user selects on the input. So when you select a file on your computer, we need to store that information, like the file you selected, somewhere so that we can send that file to Firebase. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to be using a state which is going to hold that information. So I'm going to import from React the use state hook like this. And I'm going to say const equal to use state. And the state we're going to create will initialize as null, but it will, let's call it image upload because it's going to be the image that we're going to be trying to upload. So I'm going to say set image upload, and this will be our state. Now, how we actually set the file that we choose to be equal to this state? Well, we come over here to our input, we give it an onChange. We say that every time you select a file inside of this input, we'll call this function, which its purpose is basically just to set the image upload, like this, to be equal to the event.target.files. So you can access the file in this specific input by accessing the target and then .files. And since you can select multiple files, this will actually be an array. But in our case, we're only uploading one file. So anyways, it will be the first element in the array. So we're just gonna say 0 over here. And now we're successfully setting our image upload state to be equal to the file the user is selecting, which means that we can access this right inside of this function. So the first thing we want to do with the function is we want to ask if the image upload is equal to null. Then we basically didn't select any images. So let's just return and get out of this function. So what we do now is we'll come over here and start using the functions that are provided by Firebase to upload this image state over here. And the first thing we have to do from Firebase is we need to import the storage variable that we created on our Firebase file by saying import from Firebase and grabbing the storage. Then what we need is we need to make some sort of reference to where in our storage service over here we're going to store the file. Like I mentioned, you can actually create different folders over here. So if you have a project where you want to organize it in a way so that some images are stored someplace and some images are stored in another place, you can do that by just creating folders. So in order to upload the image to the correct place, we need to make some sort of reference to where in our bucket or our storage we are going to upload this image to. So to do that, we'll just come over here and we'll import something from the Firebase storage service, which is a function called ref, and it will allow us to make that reference that I just mentioned. So we can create a reference by saying something like image ref is equal to ref, and then just passing the storage over here. Now, the second thing we're going to pass over here is the name or the path to where we're going to store this image. Now, we can create some sort of folder inside of our bucket called images, for example. You can call it whatever you want. You don't even need to create a folder, actually. You can just upload it directly to your bucket. But in our case, let's create a folder called images. And the path for the photo will be images, then slash the name of the photo. But what name will we actually name this photo? Well, the thing is, when you create a project and allow users to upload their own pictures, you don't really want to let them choose the name of the file which is going to be stored in your project. So the reason for that is because it's very common for two people to upload files with the same name. So you don't want to have two files with the same name because that would be just messy, right? It wouldn't work. So you need to find some sort of way to grab the name of the file they used and kind of randomize it so that no two files will have the same name. So for that reason, I added the backticks over here, which will allow us to basically name the image as following. So I'm going to create a $sign over here or money sign. Then I'm going to say that the image name will be basically the current name of the image by grabbing the name by saying like image upload.name. Then what I want to say is I want to add a bunch of random strings and letters after the name of the image. This will make us be sure that every image will have a different name. So this is why I downloaded the UUID package in the beginning, because it allows us to get this random large strings of characters that we can use in situations like this. So I'm going to import that from the UUID library. And what I want to import is a function called v4, which is just one of the methods they have to randomize the letters. So I'm just going to say that the file name will be the current name of the image plus v4. Then what I want to do is I'll just press enter, And we've made the reference to the image. All we have to do now is actually upload the image to Firebase. Now to upload, we actually use a function called upload bytes. And this function takes in two different arguments. It will first take in the reference to where we want to upload this. So we'll pass the image reference over here. And then it will take in the image that you want to upload. So we're going to pass the image upload over here, the state, by saying image upload. And this will return a promise, which means that we can say .then and just grab the response from this. Like whenever you upload, when it's finished, you're going to run this function over here. And there's different ways of handling this. You can use async await, but we're going to be using promises because I find it more intuitive in this example. And what we want to do is after you upload the image, at least for now, I just want to alert a message saying image uploaded. So we can get like a confirmation that we actually uploaded the image. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to refresh the page, and we know that there's nothing in our console. There's no images and no files over here. There's not even the images folder that we're telling Firebase to create. But one thing we know is that we can now upload an image. So I'll select an image and I'll try to upload it. You can see I selected an image over here. It's just a thumbnail for one of my videos, and I'm going to click on upload image. And if all goes right, you should see that it says image uploaded. So we got that confirmation, but we are not sure yet if it actually uploaded. And the way to check is we're going to refresh this page. And yes, you can see we have a folder over here called images. And inside of it, there's the image that we uploaded. And one thing I want to tell you guys is you can see that the image appears over here, right? And I can upload as many pictures as I want. Like I just selected another picture over here for another thumbnail. I'm going to try to upload that one as well. And you'll see that it should appear here as well. But one thing I want to explain to you guys is the way that Firebase storage works is when you upload a picture, the way you access it inside of your projects is by accessing a link. So all of these pictures are actually stored in a public URL. As you can see, anyone can actually access this and anyone can actually download this. So all we have to do to display these images inside of our code is to have access to the URL in which this picture exists, right? So that's what we want to do with our project. What we're going to do is we want to display all of the images in our bucket, in our storage, as a list down over here, right? So the way we can do something like that is, first of all, we need to create a use effect, because we're going to run a function immediately when you open the website, and a use effect allows us to do that. So I'm going to say use effect over here, and this use effect will be run once. And we can make it run more times, but for now, let's just make it run once, because we're going to get all of the images and automatically display them in our screen. And we need to keep track of the URL for each of those images in our storage. So we're going to create a state called image list, or you can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it image list. Set image list equals to use state, and we're going to make it into an array. Now what I want to do is I want to tell Firebase to get all of the images in a specific path inside of our storage. So if we have different folders, Firebase allows us to, for example, get all the images only in the images folder. And if we have another folder, you can get all the images in that folder specifically as well. But for that, we need to reference which path we want to take, right? So there's a function in Firebase storage called list all, which by the name, you should already assume that its purpose is to list all of the files in a specific path. So when we run list all like this, we need to pass some sort of reference to a path in our storage as the argument to this function, and it will just return all of the images and files inside of that path. Now we've made references in the past, right? Over here, we can see we made a reference to a specific path when we were trying to create the images folder and add that image to that folder. Now, if we want to make another reference where it's just a reference to the folder as a whole, we can say const image list ref, something like this, set it equal to ref, and we pass first the storage like we did before. But now what we pass is we just pass the images / because what we're trying to say here is we want to make a reference to all the files inside of the images folder. So we can pass this inside of the list all over here, and we can say that then after we get all of those images, we'll get a response from this request and we'll run the following function, right? So we can console log over here what we're getting just to test it out so you guys can see. So if I come over here, this is running automatically when you enter the website, when you refresh the page, because it is a use effect. So it should be console logged right now. And it is, right? We have an object over here with 2 items. Each of these items represent one of the pictures inside of this folder, meaning that we correctly reference the correct path and we're getting the data for each of the pictures. Now, the way we're going to actually display them is a bit hard because you don't have the URL for the pictures right over here. Actually, Firebase makes you use a function from Firebase called getDownloadURL, where you pass one of like the item, the reference to a specific image, and it will give you back the specific URL. So what we need to do is we need to go through each of the items in our storage. So say response.items, loop through each of them like this, grab each individual item, and we need to use this function from Firebase called getDownloadURL to get the URL based on that item. So I'll say getDownloadURL, then pass the item over here, then say .then, and I'm going to grab the URL from this. And with that in mind, all we have to do now is just set the image list, like add this URL to the image list. And if you're used to states, you know that to add another item to a state that is a list, all you have to do is you just grab the current value of the list and set it equal to the same list, but add the URL at the end. So what does this mean? It means that we're now setting the image list to be a list of 2 items, which are both the URL where we can access each of these pictures. So why would we need the URL? Well, with React and just HTML as well as a whole, you can actually display an image by just passing a URL as the source. So we're going to come over here and say image list like this, .map, and we're going to map through each of the images that we get from Firebase. And we're going to get the URL for each of them and just return back an image like this, an image tag with the source file being equal to the URL that we got. Now, if we save this, if all is working, oh, I need to delete this over here. But if it's all working, we should see the images to our actual code. Now, the reason why it's doubled over here is just because I kept saving the code a couple times and it kept making the request. But if I refresh the page, it should only display 2 of the images, which are the 2 images in our project. Also, the reason why it's displaying like nicely one on top of each other is because I actually already had predefined CSS over here. You can just copy and paste this. It's really small, but it just makes it look like this. So if you're confused why mine looks away and yours doesn't, this is why. But there's a thing, right? When I try to upload another picture, I'll just select a picture over here, as you can see, and I try to upload this image, it will say image uploaded, but it won't appear in our screen, right? The reason for this is because when we upload an image, all we're doing is we're just uploading it to Firebase. We're not telling our code to refresh ourselves, right? And there's a couple ways we can do this. The main one is to, whenever we add a new image, we just set the URL to that image as like at the end of our array. So what do I mean by that? Well, instead of just alerting a message over here, we can just say set image list, same way we did before, grab the previous one and just set it equal to a new array with where it's basically the previous one, but we add a URL at the end. And to actually get the URL from the image we're trying to upload, what we can do is we can grab this thing called the snapshot from the upload bytes function and then use that to get the download URL for this specific image by passing the snapshot.ref. We're making a reference to this image that we just uploaded and getting its URL. So we'll say .then and create a function and grab the URL directly from here. So we'll just put this inside of here and we'll just pass the URL at the end over here. So now what happens is when we add a new image, I'll just refresh the page. I'll select a new picture. As you can see, I selected another thumbnail and I'll click on upload image. we should see that not only it uploads, but it also adds it to the end of our array. So it means it's working perfectly, and it's amazing, right? It's working perfectly, displaying all the images. All the images are now in our storage, and you can play around with this. You can do the same thing with files. It doesn't have to be images. It's just what I thought would be best for this video. But yeah, that's basically it for the video. If you want to check out the code will be in the description with all of the information related to the project. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below and comment what you want to see next, because I'm actually putting a lot of effort into this channel, into the videos. I'm midway through my school year, and it's pretty tough with schoolwork, but I'm trying to double my upload rate. So if you have any ideas for videos, you can just leave them in the comments, and I'll definitely read them. But yeah, if you could leave a like and subscribe, I would be very happy. So thanks again for watching the video, and I see you guys next time.